Hallstatt is a small town in the district of Gmunden, in the Austrian state of Upper Austria. Situated between the southwestern shore of Hallstatter Sea and the steep slopes of the Dachstein Massif, the town lies in Salzkammergut region, on the national road linking Salzburg and Graz. Hallstatt is known for its production of salt dating back to prehistoric times, and gave its name to the Hallstatt culture, the archaeological culture linked to Proto-Celtic and early Celtic people of the early Iron Age in Europe, c. 800-450 BC. Hallstatt is at the core of the Hallstatt-Dachstein, Salzkammergut cultural landscape, declared as one of the World Heritage Sites in Austria by UNESCO in 1997. In 1846, Johann Georg Ramsauer (1795–1874) discovered a large prehistoric cemetery at the Salzburg mines near Hallstatt, 47.561 degrees north, 13.642 degrees east, which he excavated during the second half of the 19th century. Eventually the excavation would yield 1,045 burials, although no settlement has yet been found. This may be covered by the later village, which has long occupied the entire narrow strip between the steep hillsides and the lake. Some 1,300 burials have been found, including around 2,000 individuals, with women and children but few infants. Nor is there a princely burial, as often found near large settlements. Instead, there are a large number of burials varying considerably in the number and richness of the grave goods, but with a high proportion containing goods suggesting a life well above subsistence level. The community at Hallstatt exploited the salt mines in the area, which had been worked from time to time since the Neolithic period, from the 8th to 5th centuries BC. The style and decoration of the grave goods found in the cemetery are very distinctive, and artifacts made in this style are widespread in Europe. In the mine workings themselves, the salt has preserved many organic materials such as textiles, wood and leather, and many abandoned artifacts such as shoes, pieces of cloth, and tools including miners' backpacks, have survived in good condition. Hallstatt AB are part of the Bronze Age Urnfield culture. Phase A saw Villanovan influence. In this period, people were cremated and buried in simple graves. In Phase B, tumulus barrow or kurgan burial becomes common, and cremation predominates. Little is known about this period in which the typical Celtic elements have not yet distinguished themselves from the earlier Villanova culture. The Hallstatt period proper is restricted to Hack and had 8th to 5th centuries BC, corresponding to the early European Iron Age. Hallstatt lies in the area where the western and eastern zones of the Hallstatt culture meet, which is reflected in the finds from there. Hallstatt D is succeeded by the La Tène culture. Hallstatt C is characterized by the first appearance of iron swords mixed amongst the bronze ones. Inhumation and cremation co-occur. For the final phase, Hallstatt D, daggers, almost to the exclusion of swords, are found in western zone graves ranging from c. 600 to 500 BC. There are also differences in the pottery and brooches. Burials were mostly inhumations. Hallstatt D has been further divided into the sub-phases D1 D3, relating only to the western zone, and mainly based on the form of brooches. Major activity at the site appears to have finished about 500 BC, for reasons that are unclear. Many Hallstatt graves were robbed, probably at this time. There was widespread disruption throughout the western Hallstatt zone, and the salt workings had by then become very deep. By then the focus of salt mining had shifted to the nearby Hallein salt mine, with graves at Dürnberg nearby where there are significant finds from the late Hallstatt and early La Tène periods. Much of the material from early excavations was dispersed, and is now found in many collections, especially German and Austrian museums, but the Hallstatt Museum in the town has the largest collection. Until the late 19th century, it was only possible to reach Hallstatt by boat or via narrow trails. The land between the lake and mountains was sparse, and the town itself exhausted every free patch of it. Access between houses on the river bank was by boat or over the upper path, a small corridor passing through attics. The first road to Hallstatt was only built in 1890, along the west shore, partially by rock blasting. Nevertheless, this secluded and inhospitable landscape counts as one of the first places of human settlement due to the rich sources of natural salt, which have been mined for thousands of years, originally in the shape of hearts owing to the use of antler picks. Some of Hallstatt's oldest archaeological finds, such as a shoe-last celt, date back to around 5500 BC. In 1846 Johann Georg Ramsauer discovered a large prehistoric cemetery near the current location of Hallstatt. Ramsauer's work at the Hallstatt cemeteries continued until 1863, unearthing more than 1,000 burials. It is to his credit and to the enormous benefit of archaeology that he proceeded to excavate each one with the same slow, methodical care as the first. His methods included measuring and drawing each find. In an age before color photography, he produced very detailed watercolors of each assemblage before it was removed from the ground. In the history of archaeology, Ramsauer's work at Hallstatt helped usher in a new, more systematic way of doing archaeology. In addition, one of the first blacksmith sites was excavated there. Active trade, and thus wealth, allowed for the development of a highly developed culture, which, after findings in the Salzburg Octal, was named the Hallstatt culture. This lasted from approximately 800 to 500 BC. Hallstatt is a small town in the district of Gmunden, in the Austrian state of Upper Austria. Situated between the southwestern shore of Hallstatter Sea and the steep slopes of the Dachstein Massif, the town lies in Salzkammergut region, on the national road linking Salzburg and Graz. Hallstatt is known for its production of salt dating back to prehistoric times, and gave its name to the Hallstatt culture, the archaeological culture linked to Proto-Celtic and early Celtic people of the early Iron Age in Europe, c. 800-450 BC. Hallstatt is at the core of the Hallstatt-Dachstein, Salzkammergut cultural landscape, declared as one of the World Heritage Sites in Austria by UNESCO in 1997. In 1846, Johann Georg Ramsauer, 1795–1874, discovered a large prehistoric cemetery at the Salzburg mines near Hallstatt, 47.561 degrees north, 13.642 degrees east, which he excavated during the second half of the 19th century. Eventually the excavation would yield 1,045 burials, although no, that's all, and by the way, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. And click the bell icon to let you notify for our upcoming videos. Thank you for watching.